Hello, you guys. Welcome to the weekly bump. I'm sorry I cannot do it live today. My boss called me in, so I got to go in for a meeting, but I did want to get the weekly bump out nonetheless, okay? Let's talk about the stars because they're doing some cool stuff and they're in really beautiful aspects right now. We have a Jupiter retrograde occurring starting tomorrow. So Jupiter has kind of slowed down and it's going to start doing that whole like detox thing that I was kind of talking about, where we are able to decompress in a very internalized way, but on the outside way, in the outside world, in our reality, we're going to start becoming more and more active. This sort of lethargic, kind of energy that I think a lot of us have been feeling, it's going to start to dissolve, all right? The reason for that was we had Mercury and Venus coming in contact with Chiron in Pisces, plus the Pisces sun, plus the sun coming across Neptune. So there was all this like weirdness, with our dream states, with our relationships with people, with the Mercury and Chiron, it's very possible that you have maybe even projected some issues onto other people or had other people project things onto you. And it's just kind of like, whoa, man, that's not fair. You can't do that to me. You can't treat me that way, or like, that's your issue. You got to deal with your issue. Don't take it out on me kind of thing. And it can be very subtle, very soft. It's not like a Mars thing where it can be really aggressive. So it has that more passive aggressive tendency. Okay. So there may have been some of that going on for some of you, this lethargic, tired, like maybe even kind of deeply emotional stuff. That's all coming to a close, which is great. Mercury, Venus entering into Aries. Okay, it's time to get our energy back up. Jupiter retrograde, though, it's kind of like all the past few months have been about the dreams, the dreams, I guess, so to speak, the idealistic goals. And I talk about it every single week. Ultimately, what do we want? What in an ideal world could we have? And we're now entering that phase of, okay, we're going to start surprising ourselves to what we're really, truly capable of. We're going to have Mars entering into Capricorn in the next few weeks too. It's sitting at the last few degrees, 24 degrees of Sagittarius right now. So when Mars enters Capricorn, it's about work, 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 work. We go, 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 go. And we start to climb that mountain step by step, one thing at a time, one foot in front of the other. Okay, so the dreams start becoming a reality. We have the fire quality of Aries, which we love. The sun will enter there as well. And finally, we're going to stop with the fogginess. Our minds are going to be more sharp, more in tune, more on point, because Mercury doesn't like to be in Pisces, right? It's in whether detriment or fall, right? It's in a weakened position in Pisces, not the case in Aries. So it's good. What else can we talk about? I think that's it. I think that's the bulk of it. We're going to have the moon entering into Sagittarius today. We're going to feel just more active. The Scorpio energy can be a little bit like of a drag sometimes. For me, I like the Scorpio energy because I've got my moon in Scorpio, so it's like my lunar return. So I do like that. I do enjoy it. But still, it's not really for everyone. Let's go ahead and start with the cards. I do want to point out actually first the Mars retrograde that's happening in late June, okay? That's going to be a time where we may have energy still, but a lot of the projects that we kind of start or begin, or any of the relationships that we start during that time, can tend to really fizzle out very quickly. We can have a lot of gung-ho-ness in the beginning, and then it just kind of like depletes quite rapidly. So any of the things that you really want to get done this year that you have control over, now's a really good time to really ensure that you get that done, because rather start it now than later, because it's just kind of not going to have that whole like aggressive attack to it that sometimes we do need with our projects. Okay. Two of Cups reversed. Well, I think we had it in the upright position last week. Two of Cups reverse can indicate the communication issues. We are going to have a Mercury retrograde later on in April, I think April. So communication just might be weird right now. I don't know why I'm seeing this as communication rather than like relationships. You know, as we're coming off this Chiron energy, Venus and Mercury coming off Chiron, we're coming off of it, but we're still not completely out of the woods yet, you know? And so our connections with other people might feel a little bit drained. We might feel as though we don't want to be with friends right now. We might not really want to be with our significant others. Like we're having a hard time relating. Same thing was last week. You know, it's just we're kind of in our weird spaces, not on the same page per se. Because when we go through these really deep introspective points in time, so to speak, that's like a very independent journey, and the other person is not necessarily going to be on that same journey as we are, so it can just kind of be like weird, but it's okay. It's a short kind of energy, short term. You know, even people at work, I'm feeling like there is a lot of work stuff that people are dealing with. Relationships, co-workers, office politics, it's just weird. It's a weird time. Okay, let me make sure, did I like pick up my deck upside down? No? Okay. Like, we've got 2 kings in the reversal. We've got a page of coins. See, like, personalities are pretty strong right now. Personalities are pretty harsh and kind of taking on a negative tone. These might be people you're dealing with, like I said, in the office environment, or it could relate to your significant other. Fire and water, like oil and water, just not mixing right now, just not jiving. And communication could be off because you're, like I said, there's a potential of that projection happening. And any kind of reconciliation efforts, I often see the page of coins as being someone that comes through with like, maybe not necessarily an all-out apology. I more see that with the page of cups, but like a peace offering, you know, kind of coming to the table with something that the other person can hopefully work with, and you guys can like redirect the attention rather than focus on the issue. Let's like get away from the issue and focus more on something else, okay? But still futile efforts. It's the other person doesn't want to hear it. They don't really want to deal with it. And I think whatever offers you could really bring to the table right now, they're probably not going to be super into it and not take it. Or they may take it, but then kind of be a little bit begrudging or be a little bit negative or sharp with it too. Personalities, 2 kings coming out, okay? 2 kings, 2 of cups reversed. Things just, if you can stay in maybe for a couple more days, stay in your little hole and not necessarily get involved, or, you know, and I know a lot of people kind of thrive off of that, but it's probably in everyone's best interest to just not, you know, like close your office doors, close your bedroom doors, find a place for solitude, and just it's like just kind of waiting for the time to pass. Not usually my recommendation though, guys. I mean, it's really not. You know, I'm always an advocate for communication, an advocate for really talking things through, but sometimes people just don't want to hear what we have to say. And they might take it as a personal attack when really we're just trying to say how we feel and say how their actions made me feel. And, you know, it's just, they can just be a little bit heated. Okay, so what's coming out now? Queen of Coins, 6 of Cups, 2 of Pentacles reversed, and the King of Swords. See, this is kind of like the high road. You know, maybe this is the people here watching this stuff, the people who pay attention to astrology, the people who pay attention to their energy and who are very, very self-aware, the people who are able to rise above, all right? There's not that many people who are able to sort of get off the swing of the pendulum, right? To kind of detach or eject themselves from the sort of volatile energy and stand back And I think this is a very I mean, this is the King of Swords, right? It's the Aquarius card, right? All the fixed signs are represented by the kings. We've got the Scorpio card. We've got the Leo card, okay? We're going to have the Capricorn card coming out with the Queen of Coins. But, you know, 3 kings, 3 fixed signs, 3 fixed personalities. You know, it's the stubbornness involved. But the Aquarian is the one that has the ability to, like, rise, right? The Aquarius and Pisces both are the 2 signs of the zodiac. They're at the very end, the 11th and 12th houses. And they represent kind of that detachment from, right, like real life, or detachment from reality, where Aquarius is about the collective, and Pisces goes even a step further, and it's like the collective consciousness, okay? So it's more about the greater good with the King of Swords, and not personal ego stuff, where, well, King of Wands is Leo, ruled by the sun, which is the planet of our ego, and Scorpio, right? King of Cups is Scorpio, ruled by Mars and Pluto. There's power there. So there's like a power struggle or manipulation of a situation of some kind. To separate, detach yourself, not participate, okay? There's a juggling aspect here. If you try to juggle, you're not going to be able to keep it going. You're not going to be able to keep the balls in the air. To be a peacemaker right now, don't even worry about it. Let them, the people who are kind of more unaware, right, a little bit more disconnected, let them deal, and just wait, you know, kind of put your head down, go to work. Now is the time for everyone to just go to work and not worry about what anyone else is doing. We're all on our own personal journeys right now, okay? So you have the power to manifest everything and anything you want. That's what this whole dreaminess has been about. That's what this idealism and getting into our minds and connecting with our dreams and, you know, really digging deep with Jupiter and in Scorpio, digging really, really deep to bring forward our ultimate life passion, right? And what our heart really desires. And Queen of Coins is about implementing those things. We can't just dream about it, because then it's just a dream and it doesn't come to fruition. And it's our power, it's our divine right to be able to manifest the things that we have desires for. You know, desire is something that is an effect. You know, we can argue an effect of past failure. We could argue all the way back to our childhood, and many people could even argue back to past lives, you know, where these desires come from circumstances that we might not even necessarily really know where they're coming from. We just have them. And yet somehow it does seem to be a purpose of our soul's sort of journey to accomplish these things. So in order for us to, I'm thinking of karma right now, okay? And I don't know why. Well, actually I know why, because we're getting the 6 of Cups right now. Thinking of karma, and really the goal, actually, if I'm being honest, the goal is to totally break free from karma, you know, and a lot of times it's be a good person and treat people well and so you have good karma. Well, yeah, but more so it is to break the cycle of incarnation. And to do that is to really understand your true power. And a lot of times manifesting things in the real world helps us to understand what we are truly capable of. And so it's just a part of the journey, right? It's a part of what we're meant to learn. It's a part of what we're meant to accomplish. And this lifetime can be incredibly purposeful if we allow it to be and don't get sucked down by a lot of the, I'll say nonsense again. I've been saying nonsense a lot. Get sucked down by a lot of the nonsense and a lot of the people who are, you know, just kind of walking around aimlessly, kind of like zombies that just are so reactive to their circumstances and so reactive to their cultural influences too. Okay, you know, so there's that separation that I keep going back to almost every single week. The separation of the people who, like, the high road people, right? The people that are coming to a greater understanding of who they are, and the people who don't even really know what that means. Okay, this is the separation. This is the separation. It's occurring like right before our eyes. It's so bizarre. The more and more I really pay attention to it, you know, when you pay attention to something, you're attuning your frequency to that. So you start to see those types of things being displayed more often in real life. So it's kind of interesting. Let's see what else. Sorry, my stomach's grumbling. I've not eaten. I need to eat something. I'm learning about Ayurvedic nutrition right now. It's fascinating. I changed my diet like a little bit, and I'm seeing all these changes happening in my body. I don't know. You guys should really research that Ayurvedic, you know, principles. The Vata, the Pitta, and the Kapha, the 3 body types, mind and body types. It's really fascinating, and it ties into astrology, just like everything ties into astrology. Oh, okay. This one, this one was the one. The Lovers. Yes. You know, let's talk about this. Yes, the duality. Okay, yada, yada, yada. You guys hear me talk about these huge spiritual concepts like on a weekly basis, you know, but I see this more and more frequently now as being a path we've never taken before. With Gemini being the kind of the ruler of this card, I think Gemini is, you know, adventurous, you know, and I think Gemini is agile, the agility and the flexibility that comes there. And that's kind of what we're being asked to do, I think, is to really go down a different kind of path. A path we've never really thought about, we've never really considered before, a path that we may have struggled with in the past. And as the difficulties are sort of dissolving, now that's as a collective, okay? Individually, you may have your own Pluto transit, you may have your own Saturn transit. So not to say that all the difficulties are done and we are constantly going through these cycles. But with the difficulties that have taught us so much over the past 10 years, likely, okay, that is never really going to stop. But we now have an option in front of us. We now have a choice laid out in front of us. The choice to fall into this. And you know, I gotta say, like, to choose this one, to choose this kind of route, it can be really lonely sometimes, because you do feel like you are disconnecting from people. And, you know, I was having this conversation with someone, though I've mentioned her before. She's a woman who's been in my life for many, many years. And I have seen her go from being just a normal person, living her regular life, to being one of the most happy and loving people, like one of those people that understands that we are beings of light and love, and who lives her life accordingly. And she has these 3 incredibly amazing daughters, okay? And she's been living in this magical fairyland for the past 10 years with her beautiful stallions and horses, and it like it's like a fairy tale, you know? And you can just see, and when you go visit her, you can feel this huge energetic shift around you. And it's just this love that they are immersed in all the time. And I was having this conversation with her just last week, because being a girl, you know, a single girl, and dating, and also on a spiritual journey and doing a lot of introspection and learning about myself, dating gets harder and harder, because you date people who are like dead inside, you know, and they have no idea who they are. And they don't do the introspection, and they don't do the meditation, and they don't do the self-discovery. You know, they're just living very, very reactively. And I'm not saying there aren't people out there, but they're far and few between. That's why there's 2 of these and only 1 of this one, right? And one thing I love about this tarot channel is that it does connect me with very, very like-minded people. But, you know, this woman, she's married, and I was talking more about her daughters because they're in their early 20s. And I said, you know, are they dating? Do they go out? And she's like, no, they have no desire because they are so complete in and of themselves that it would take an absolute miracle from God to manifest someone who matches their level of completeness. And that's the only way that a relationship could really work, because now they are such beings of love and such beings of light that to be around people who aren't at that same level just would completely steal their light, and they know that. And so they, you know, and they're three very independent girls, you know. And I've watched these girls growing up their whole life from like, I watched them all get born when I was young. I was like 6 years old when the first child was born, you know? And so I think that that's that like kind of awareness that the people who are watching this kind of stuff really have. And life does get harder. It does get a little bit lonely. And that's why it's important for these types of channels, right? For us to come together and to be associative with one another, so that we know that we're not alone, because we can feel very, very disconnected from life. And while we have our material goals and our realistic goals, we also know that that's not the ultimate goal, and that it doesn't really matter. That's what's so crazy, is that sometimes these desires that I'm talking about, we have these desires and they are effects of other things, whether from way, way, way back in childhood or even past lives, things that we don't even quite know or see. But yet ultimately it is the goal to break free from desire altogether. Break free from desire because we recognize that they are symptoms of our ego, right? But it is understanding how to manifest those things that can help us break free, kind of thing. Understand that true power. So I don't know, it's a little bit contradictory. That's the duality of life, it's the duality of our nature, it's the duality of everything. And so that's why I like this card, because I do feel that it is you taking that path that you have never taken before and surprising yourself. You know, surprising yourself of how you can have, whether it's happiness that you want, or whether it's money that you want, or, you know, whatever it is that you want, you know, to be surprised that you can create that for yourself. Okay, yes, the crossroads. But see, the crossroads is an illusion. And I remember that being a theme for a lot of the monthlies that I did in March. It's all an illusion. The feeling of not knowing what to do, or the feeling of not knowing which direction to take, that's a fallacy. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly what must be done and what steps need to be taken. We are all at that point where whatever it is that's kind of been, you know, we're kind of being plagued right now. Can I say that? Like, it's like a plague of dissatisfaction, and we are seeking more. The material things, you know, and I realize I'm hugely contradicting myself, guys, but the material things in life are very dissatisfying. So we are going deeper, we are going within. And that's kind of, you know, this is in my Hermetic Tarot deck. I know I've said it before. This is, at the bottom, there's like a little description. It's the Lord of Peace Restored. And it's the reaching of that equilibrium. It is the, again, choosing not to choose. It is a choice to not to choose. It is a choice to not participate with the kings reversed here, and to rise above and to detach. And it is a choice, but ultimately it's for the greater good. And you know exactly what needs to be done in order for you to reach that greater good state, you know? Yeah, there's the clock. This little broadcasting software, whatever, is kind of strange. So I have to keep trying to find the time. It's like teeny tiny at the bottom. Let's see. Let's do like 1 or 2 more and then we'll call it a day. Eight of Swords. Interesting to get the Eight of Swords. You know, swords are illusionary. They are of the mind. And it's so important for us to analyze our mind, to analyze our thoughts. I say this a lot too. I feel like I'm always on like this broken record, always saying the same things over and over. You know, it's kind of like when you're in a yoga class and you're at the end, you're in the Shavasana position and you're just kind of letting the blood flow and breathing and just kind of reaching. That's like the most spiritual part of a yoga class in my opinion, right? And so when your nose scratches, you know, the instructor always says, just observe. So if there's sweat dripping down your back, don't, you know, scratch it, don't wipe it, don't scratch your nose, don't do anything, just observe it. And that's kind of what needs to kind of happen instead of getting so incredibly caught up in our thoughts, caught up in our emotions, caught up in all this worldly stuff. To just really analyze it. And again, it is for the sake of controlling it, you know, controlling it and not necessarily having to act in accordance with it. You know, one of the principles or the main number 1 principle in the Kabbalion is the law of mentalism, where everything in the entire world, the entire universe must first begin with thought. And the power of mentalism can be applied to control the other Hermetic principles. Okay, so we have this concept of rhythm that I talk about often, the rhythm, the pendulum, which is essentially, you know, the pendulum goes back and forth. Our pendulum might be a little bit more complicated, but essentially the pendulum is our stars, right? This is the sky at noon in Las Vegas for today. Okay, this is what's happening at that particular moment in time. And that's our pendulum, that's our rhythm. So to be aware of the tension of the flow points, you know, you can take advantage of the flow points and kind of eject yourself from the tension points. It's not to say you're still not going to have stuff happen to you, but you can rise above it through what's going on up here, through the power of your mind. And that's what this king really, truly understands, you know? And it doesn't necessarily get bogged down by the messiness. Not to say you don't still feel, not to say you don't still get affected by stuff. You absolutely do, and you always will. But it's about using your mind to overcome those things, okay? Okay, I think I got everything here. I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Sorry for not doing it live, but I appreciate you coming here and watching anyway. So have an amazing week. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.